Hi, I'm Jill Smith from the Bayport Library, here with some 80s hits, some great recommendations for you for winter reads. The first book I'd like to tell you about is Gorky Park by Martin Cruz Smith. This is the start of the Arcady Ringo series. If you've seen the movie, read the book. It's so much better. This will really take you back in time to the early 80s and that Cold War feeling, the tension between the USSR and the United States. It's a great read. I recommend the entire series, but start with this one. Our next title is The Clan of the Cave Bear by Jean Auel, and this is the start of a massive series. It takes you back in time to prehistoric times. It's the story of Ayla, who gets separated from her family during an earthquake and is raised among Neanderthals, but she knows she is different. Eventually she'll find her people, but this story is mostly her time with the Neanderthals. It's meticulously researched. This was a book that my mom read that I was not allowed to read back in the 80s. But all the moms in the neighborhood were reading it. It was one of those great reads that was massively popular. If you enjoy this, you'll like the rest of the series. My next book is another historical book. This is The Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco. This takes place in the 1300s in a monastery in Italy. This is an Italian author translated into English for us. It was made into a wonderful movie with Sean Connery and Christian Slater. There's murder, intrigue, all sorts of things that you can imagine happening in a monastery where everyone is isolated. If you want to stick closer to home, try something by John Hassler. This is Grand Opening, set in a small town in the World War II era. He's one of my favorite authors. He just writes so well about the Midwestern Minnesota spirit, and I hope you enjoy his books. If you want something a little more big city with a little bit of flash and 80s excess, try a Danielle Steel from the 80s. I think her books back in the 80s were better reads than they are today. This is Zoya, dripping with jewels, furs, fancy cars, all sorts of things like that. We have our requisite Danielle Steel fancy author photo. If you want to read about something from the 80s, you can't go wrong with the classic Danielle Steel. My next book is Presumed Innocent by Scott Turow. This was his first mystery. Of course, it's about a lawyer who gets himself accused of murder and embroiled in a murder plot. It's a very twisty book. I had no idea who did it until the very end. This was mostly made into a wonderful movie and the start of a great writing career. Lots of legal thrillers by Scott Turow, and this happens to be the original book from the 80s from my library, so definitely check that out. And my last book is also one of my favorite books from the 80s. This is The Joy Luck Club by Amy Tan, another original cover from back in 1989 from my library. This is the story of 4 women from China and then their 4 daughters growing up in America after they've emigrated here. It's heartbreaking, it's wonderful, a great story of family and how your mother's lives can lead into yours and affect you. This was also made into one of my favorite movies, which we have at the library, but definitely read the book. You can probably tell I always think the book is better than the movie. So those are my 80s hits. Please come to the library and participate in our Winter Reads program. You can do a review form and enter to win a book bundle prize. You can also get a great bookmark that you can plant and it will grow into herbs later this spring. I hope you enjoy those 80s hits. Drop in the comments your favorite book from the 80s and have a great day.